Keeping it tight. Keeping it tight. What's going on, guys? And guys. I'd say guys and girls, but, you know. I got to, put this stuff out in advance. You know, the problem is that I'll just chit-chat till we get to like 10 people. It's not like Twitter where there's like 100 people like that. When I want to do these things, I just have to do them quick. But anyway, I think that this will be helpful because I've been doing a lot of one-on-ones with people, and they're trying to understand why. What's up, Nathan? Why they, so I'm going through a lot of people's portfolios with Potstocks, literally every day, and all kinds of people from new investors, old investors, people that actually work in the cannabis industry. Everybody's just trying to figure it out. How do I know how many people are in here? I don't know. It will tell me. I mean, plus I got people right there just commenting. So, all right. So I guess without further ado, let's kind of get right into it. So here are my thoughts. So why did everybody get wrecked in Potstocks? It comes down to a bunch of different things, right? I'd really have to list it out as like 5 different things, maybe more. Could be less, whatever. So for most people, they got in sometime between 2016 and 2018 before Canada went legal, right? I'm sure some of you did as well. The problem was that in 2017, after Constellation did their first deal with Canopy, the sector kind of changed. I mean, it already had an upwards trajectory because Canada had passed medical, countrywide. The United States had a couple of states that were recreational, which was good. But, from 2016 on, the Canadian market was boosting up the US market. So we fast forward to, 2017 after that Constellation deal. Then something crazy happens. Everybody, and you guys have all heard this, everybody starts talking about funded capacity, right? So what's funded capacity? Funded capacity was, hey, we've got this much money, we can build a grow this big, 1 million square feet, and we think we'll be able to grow X amount of weed, which was great in theory. And we'll get to why that ended up being a huge clusterfuck. So you had this arms race, right? So now everybody was raising more money. We need to, market caps were moving based off of funded capacity. So you had that, and then you had companies buying out smaller companies to keep them from competitors. So you had Canopy poaching companies, you had Aurora poaching companies, you had Afria, pretty much everybody in between, right? I mean, if we look, Aurora was the worst at this, right? Terry Booth, who was probably one of the shittiest CEOs in Potstocks, they were going after Canamed and Med Relief. I mean, a hostile takeover on Canamed. I think what did they end up paying? Like $1 billion, 1.2 billion for Med Relief? Nuts. Their market cap isn't even $1.2 billion. So that's the first problem, right? You had all of these companies just paying stupid money, and they were paying with a combination of cash and stock for all these companies. So that's the problem that comes to bite us in the ass in 2019 and even today. Then the second problem was the catalyst kind of dried up after 2018. After Canada went legal, then the whole landscape changed. So, and I know this might sound boring to a bunch of you, but this is how it is. So I'm just going to explain this for the laymen or the noobs or whatever. So then you had all these companies that had spent all this money, and then the catalysts dry up, right? And then it becomes an execution game. You had all these big companies. So you had the Altrias. Molson came in with like a deal with Hexo. Constellation came in and took a big chunk of Canopy. That now we're like, yeah, let's do this. There's going to be a huge market. And they were doing this before Canada went legal, thinking that it would just completely run up and that their investment would be just amazing, which it was until it wasn't, right? Canada goes legal. There's a sell-off, 20%, which coincides with a sell-off in the broader market. Everything just kind of gets smashed. It goes back up, but now comes March, which is the thumbnail that I posted there. So every year, we have what we call the Ides of March, or what I've been calling the Ides of March. I mean, I didn't coin the term. It goes back to ancient Greece, ancient Rome. And what I've been noticing, what I've noticed since 2014 was every March was followed by a massive sell-off in Potstocks. So every year, after I got hit on that first one, I just got out in March, reloaded in the summer. And it's been a strategy that's really worked even till last year. So the thumbnail says, beware the Ides of March. So I got out of everything, got short, thinking, okay, in the summer, I'm going to be buying dips. But then you had all of this bad news, right? CanTrust doing all kinds of shady stuff. You had Bruce Linton getting fired over the summer. And then you had the problem with the banks. So the banks are also to blame with this. So BMO, Canaccord, doing these bought deals. And some of the shady stuff that went on, like forcing companies into blackout periods, which they had to stay quiet, and the company's stock price dropped so that BMO could come in, or whoever could come in, and then give them a bought deal, get more, screw shareholders, and then just kind of pillage. And they did that enough that they ended up kind of breaking some of these companies, like Cannabis is one. BMO did something with Aurora and TGOD that was super shady. They forced Aurora to sell their TGOD position as TGOD was doing well. And then BMO said, oh, we can't lend you any money, TGOD. So that was part of it. But really, what it really came down to, why everybody got crushed, and I know this is just kind of a long-winded diatribe, it's that people that were trading pot stocks were not taking profit, okay? They were really good at posting screenshots of the profit that they were making on their computer screen, but they were not taking profit. And a lot of them had never been through a bear market in pot stocks. And they soon realized that, well, it took them a while, that dips were not getting bought. And they created this vicious cycle of buying high and selling low. I mean, people buying Canopy at $50, $60 US is just nuts. People buying Kronos at $23, nuts. When Nelson Peltz came on and Aurora went to $10, that was nuts. And everybody thinking I need to keep buying, I need to get more. They got really greedy, and they were doing this in March, which was nuts. And when I put that tweet out about the Ides of March, everybody was basically telling me I'm an idiot and that I don't know what I'm talking about. My time is done, which is hilarious now. And their whole thing, it was, oh, the sector is much more developed. Okay. Well, remember that arms race that I was talking about that, created part of that blue sky? Well, the real blue sky was these companies spending a ton of money over in Europe and Latin America and, and anywhere else that they could. There were all these companies that were doing that, and that was kind of the headline, right? But funded capacity was that still a thing? Weed sales started trickling in, companies missed guidance, and for a quarter, the bankers were kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? It's a new sector. This is a new machine. But what was really going on was there was no place to sell the weed. Canada created this system that basically, black market is crushing it in Canada. And if you don't believe me, just ask somebody that has a dispensary that's not legal. Because I got friends that have those dispensaries, and look, they've got insurance, they've got bail insurance for their employees just in case anything ever happens. So because everybody basically got the liquidity sucked out of them from the bankers and just smarter people that were selling into them, when there were bids or some of these companies needed bid support, it just wasn't there. It wasn't there at all. It wasn't there by a long shot, and these, when there was any kind of headline risk, like when CanTrust, so I look at it as like three main events, right? You had the whole CanTrust fiasco. So basically CanTrust had illegal grow rooms, was doing a bunch of illegal shit. You had Bruce Linton getting ousted. You had Aurora missing their own guidance in September of 2019. Just as the industry was getting a little bit of wind at its back. And then, you had Cam Batley leaving and all these things. Now, because of that cash crunch that I was telling you, with the bankers just getting really greedy and, putting people in blackout periods, now all of a sudden everything is getting trashed. And then you had all these companies that had to do terrible, terrible financings, TGOD being one of them, Ianthus being another one. So as soon as Ianthus took money with basically a 20% interest rate, they were done. You had issues with harvest, okay, in Massachusetts. You had issues with acreage. Acreage at one point was $29, and I think it went down to $2 like a month ago, 2 months ago. You had TLRY, which everybody was looking at as, oh my God, TLRY, the company that went to $300, but not understanding why it went to $300 because the float got locked. But it was the one that everybody was looking at just going down. You had their CEO literally selling like 20 million shares, $20 million worth of stock in like a quarter. It was nuts. You had, what else did you have? You had Terry Booth leaving. You had Cam Batley leaving. Well, Terry Booth kind of getting the boot. You had risk from 2018, like with Afria, So all this stuff finally came. And all the while, you have a system in Canada that they don't have enough dispensaries, nowhere near the amount of dispensaries that they need. Okay. I should do a whole video on just that. So what happens now, right? Well, with everything going on in the markets on like a macro level, because of coronavirus, there's still a lot of risk in cannabis. All right. And that's just the truth of it. I want to be a bull, but I don't see anything as anything other than a trade right now. I mean, I don't think that any one of you that's on here right now could say, if I gave you $1 million and you had to put it in one company now versus a company in the summer, that you'd want to do it now, you know? So what happens next, right? So what does happen next, Wolf? You know, like I said in October before, actually I said this, yeah, well, I said in October of 2018, the shift is going to come to the US companies. Canada's too fucked up. They don't have the population to support the type of growth that will get investors back. I saw somebody post on Twitter that they thought Canopy, they posted a chart and it was like, oh, the last time it did this, this is what it did. And they had Canopy going to 50 something bucks. And I'm just like, are you out of your fucking mind? How could you possibly fucking put that on Twitter, right? You know, and everybody's like, here's the thing. On days where cannabis goes up and like everything has a move, like what was it, Monday or Tuesday, all of a sudden everybody's a bull. Everybody's a bull and everybody's an idiot. And then the same people will just get really quiet the next day. Not all of them, some of them. You know, bottoms in, bottoms in, bottoms in. Yeah, look, for some of these companies, yeah, the bottom is in, but you're talking about a bottom that's from, you know, like Canopy is still below 2018 prices. Aurora, okay, is at 2000, is below summer of 2016 prices. Put that in perspective. The only one that's really doing well is Kronos. And the only reason Kronos is doing well in Canada is because they've got so much cash on hand. So I look at it like this. I think that the MSOs are going to be where it's at. And there's going to be some other companies that appear that aren't even in the cannabis space, that are in hemp and CBD companies that are doing numbers that make, you know, like if they were public right now, they'd be they'd have the most revenue out of any company out there, you know, and they're private. So the MSOs are going to win, and it's only going to be a handful of them, right? If I had to give my top 3 MSOs right now, it would be in no particular order. All right, I'll do it in order. I'd say True Leaf, Green Thumb, and Curaleaf would be my top 3 out of the MSOs, okay? They've got some risk. We all know that. I don't need to go over that again, but those will be the biggest companies in cannabis. The hope is that those get big enough where they can pull the rest of the market up, right? Where Canopy is not the bellwether for everything else, where Aurora isn't well, thank God Aurora isn't the bellwether for everything else, because then we'd just be completely fucked. So, you know, so how do you trade it? One, it's really simple. If you take a position in any cannabis company, it doesn't fucking matter which one. If you go down 15%, get rid of it. Cut your loss, okay? I'm sick of talking to people that have 80, 90% losses in some of these companies, mainly Aurora, which I guess honey dick the shit out of everybody. But still, I mean, Canopy's not far behind. People buying Kronos at 20 something. Nuts. I mean, I don't really feel too bad about the people that bought MedMen. I mean, we were pretty much on top of MedMen from day one. since even before they were public. You know, for the MSOs that are in Florida, because some of you have asked, like Liberty Health Sciences, that thing's garbage. It's not going to be able to compete. You know, yeah, people are like, oh my God, but look at what they're doing in sales. You guys have to separate something, okay? You have to separate the public company, the vehicle, okay? That's the stock from the business, all right? MedMen has a great brand. It's a great dispensary. They're beautiful. I love MedMen dispensaries. Their public vehicle is an abortion. I mean, it's like a terrible abortion. I don't know. I can't think of anything worse than an abortion. But if there is something worse than an abortion, that's what MedMen's public vehicle is, okay? That's what the management team is like. You know, when a company takes any money from somebody, from a group, and they've got a 20% interest rate, they are dead money. They're never going to get out from under that, okay? And if they do, all they're going to do is dilute. Okay, which brings me back to Aurora. Aurora is doing a reverse split, a 12-to-1 reverse split. Why? Because they have 1.3 billion shares out there, and they need to keep their New York Stock Exchange listing. I cannot wait for Aurora to go and do this split and allow for options to be traded again. Why? Because they're going to have to dilute again. Aurora is effectively out of money. They have no money, all right? They didn't have money last month. They do not have money this month. So they can't wait to dilute because it's going to be like this. They're going to do a reverse and it's going to pop, okay? It's going to move because people aren't going to be able to, they're not automatically going to be able to sell, right? So you give it a day. So give it a day, go short. Simplest trade out there, I think. That's an insane amount of shares. It is an insane amount of shares. But look, you've got so much goodwill on the books with so many of these companies. Canopy paid, I think they paid like, it was either 400 or 600 million for this brand called Tokyo Smoke that has like fucking one dispensary. And honestly, there's nothing to it. It's like a fucking coffee shop right now. I don't even know if they're selling weed. That's how much I've looked at it. Reverse split, reverse split, then you do an offering. And that offering is basically going to just dilute, or maybe they do a convertible. You know, they have to do something. They have to sell some assets. They got to do. I just don't invest in Aurora. All right. There's so much stuff that needs to fall in line for Canada, for these companies in Canada to actually make a move. All right. The only thing that's keeping these companies from making a move is people just not stepping on their throats and really like shorts just covering. How long does it take for the options to get turned back on? That's a really good question. You know, maybe look at JNUG and see if those options are back on. I would say that it takes about 5 days. I don't know. Are options off right now on Aurora? Because that would make sense too. So much money wasted in cannabis. I mean, look, TGOD, the new management team in TGOD basically blew $400 million. $400 million. Brian Atide should, I don't know, leave Canada, he should leave North America. That guy's the worst CEO in all Potstocks. And I have no problem saying that. And I still have a fucking huge position in TGOD, unfortunately. It's all PP shares, but still, you know, that basically just becomes a write-off against, you know, wins. So I guess it serves a function because of the value it had. They all knew it was a big hype. You know, look, everybody kind of got ahead of themselves, and the bankers got greedy. They drove this up. But, you know, we have to bear a lot of responsibility too, because we just weren't smart investors. You know, we just kept on fucking buying the dip. And when you just keep buying the dip, and then finally they pull the rug, and then you've got no more capital to buy the dip, then the market implodes. And that's exactly what we saw. You know how many people, you know, like some of the guys that were posting like their huge accounts in 2018, I know some of them that rode their like $1 million, you know, like little portfolio to fucking 50 grand. Could you imagine? And it happened a lot. So, 48 North. Oof, sorry. CHK turned back on. Yeah, they got halted today, didn't they? So I'm holding pot now. Do I sell back, then get? It depends how much. You know, if you're holding a pot stock right now, really, I wouldn't be holding more than. Honestly, I wouldn't. The only pot stock company that I'd be holding right now, I mean, I'm holding a few, but like if I was buying, would be like Power REIT and IIPR, honestly. Those have been the only two that I've invested in the last month and a half. I haven't bought another pot stock. Although whatever happened to the iPhone stores, yeah. Yeah, Johnny B, you can't average down from 4 to 40 cents. You need 1,000% gain to get your money back. That shit's not happening. Sorry. But that's my point. People, I don't understand how you can look at a position and be like, oh, I'm down 50%. This is going to get better. Oh, I'm down 60%. Oh, I want to be down 50%. You know, like people would rather take 80% losses, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're buying high and they're selling at the absolute bottom. And then it bounces, and then they get FOMO, so they put more money in, and then it just goes right back down. Like if I lose big on a company, I never get back in. Like I've got no desire. I don't even want to entertain the idea. Richard Kinney asks, change of subject. What are your thoughts on COVID plays in pharma? I think that as soon as, I think that you need a scanner that has all coronavirus plays. 2, I think you need to have, like, be ready that if anything, if anyone comes out with a coronavirus vaccine or some kind of like a real breakthrough, not like Gilead, like something even more extreme, you have to go short all these piece of shit companies that make masks. Like the first one that I would short would be INO, because that's a dog shit company. Like you guys need to realize INO is a fucking $2 company that's trading at $13, whatever it is. I think that's the easiest one. I've avoided averaging down as well, thinking selling the bottom like now is the worst idea. It depends on what you're holding. Honestly, that's a losing strategy. If you're down more than 20%, you should get out of the stock. Especially now. You can be, all right, say you're down here. I'm going to make it really fucking simple for you guys. All right. If you're down 20% on a stock, if I said, get into this stock and it'll go up 100%, but it'll take you a year, would you do it? So you take that money and put it into this stock, it'll go up 100% in a year, or I'll shave my head. Of course you would do it. So get out of the stock. You're married to that stock. That's all that means. If you're holding on to something for loss, you're a fucking shitty investor. And I don't mean that to be a dick, but you're a shitty investor and you're going to have a shitty time. Like, you're just watching capital go away. I would go and I'd put that into some distressed company. Put it into some distressed company that you think can actually have a chance, like American Airlines or something else. Yes, hold on, sorry. Don't do average down on Potstocks ever. Look, it's not bad to average down on Potstocks if you're already up. You can average down like at the lows. Like, I wouldn't be averaging down now. Like, I wouldn't be averaging down on Canopy now. Not after it made a 70% move off the lows. That's just insane to me. You know, if you're going to average down, do it at a time when, you know, shit's going to get better. Okay. When dispensaries start opening, all right, that's a better time to do it, because their sales are going to improve. Like, this coronavirus is slowing that whole process down. You still holding your put calls on Oxy? No, I got out of them today. I took a loss on it, obviously, from my fat finger, but I went into the day with 50. So I sold 70 of them yesterday. Some at a profit, some at like break even. So I traded as much of it as I could, but then dumped like 50 at the end, and then bought 50 in the morning at 15, and then sold them at 20. But I still lost like $1,000. Yeah, so Jacob Shaw, screw SRS. Yeah, that's fine. SRS isn't very fun when the SPY is just going ham. I bought SRS today. I sold SRS today. I bought it. I sold it. I bought, and I did the same thing yesterday. I'm just staying. All I'm doing is staying active in it, so that if it drops 30 cents, it's not killing me. So, you know, if you think that people are going to not foreclose on their homes and that the housing market isn't going to be impacted by the coronavirus, and yeah, SRS isn't for you. This is a bet against real estate. And that's the one thing the Fed can't inject money into. What are they going to do? Buy people's homes? No, get the fuck out of here. So, how big is my position size when I go long on average on like a pot stock? A lot. So like when I bought TrueLeave in September or October of 18, like 2 days after it went public, I bought 46,000 shares. Yeah, 46,000 shares at $8 or in like that range. That ended up being a lot of money. Like I had, when CanTrust had that scandal, I lost $100,000. So that gives you an idea of like how big my position size. When Afria had that short report come out, I lost like 84 grand that day. So my position size has been big. You know, I haven't held $1 million. I've held $1 million position in only 2 pot stocks. One was TGOD, and the other was Aurora. And I came out on top on both of those. Like I built up to to that position. So no, I didn't get into the CHK puts. It is leveraged, tell truth vision. It is leveraged. Yeah, and you shouldn't hold it if you don't know how to. If you just buy it and hold it. Here's the thing: it would take SRS going down to like $15 for me to lose money. Why? Because since the day I bought it at 18, I've traded it back and forth and swung it $1 each time I've traded. Selling the highs I sold was 21.25. Catching the dip, selling it back at 21.25, and I'm doing it. So every time I'm doing it, I'm selling half my position. So it's like these fluctuations right now are just me accumulating free shares while I'm waiting for housing to do what it does. And I look at this as like a 4 to 6 month swing, because and I'll get out of the position if they do something differently with the forbearance rules. You got the $1 put on INO, Kareem. Funny. Comment on the 2008 price of SRS. Yeah, I think in 2008 SRS was. I could actually tell you right now. So 2008 SRS stock price. Let's do max. All right, ready? In 2009, well, look, it started at $4,000, and this was 2007. It hit a peak of $13,000 a share, and that was at the peak of housing collapse. So this is November 21st, 2008. And then in 2009, it hit another peak. In March 2009, it was $5,900. And as housing's gotten better, it's just gone down. So in 2011, the price was $341. Okay. So think about that. All right. So that's why I'm just trying to accumulate free shares, because when I do bomb out, I'll have some stuff on the table that I could play with. Afria has to be one of the safest bets in Canada? No, it's definitely not. I don't think it is. I mean, I think that Afria's whole thing is Broken Coast, which is a great brand. But, I mean, they've got cash, but they also have a lot of people that just don't want to fuck with them. Was there a split since then? I don't see a split on the chart. But let's put it this way. SRS, let's see. Hold on, let me pull it up again. 6 months. Okay, ready? When we peaked here, okay, when all this coronavirus shit just happened, and there was not even any loan protections or anything. SRS on March 23rd, it hit $38. Okay. Defaults are up 4% as of 2 weeks ago. Requests for forbearance as of 2 weeks ago were at 78 up 78%. So let's see. Mortgage defaults 2020. Okay, so this is from April 2nd. Home lenders brace for up to 15 million mortgage defaults. Yeah, guys, you don't think housing is going to be affected by this? Okay. I'm playing SRS long. I'm playing SRS long, and I'm playing DRV long. And then I'm playing some other things long. You know, I just don't look. Housing is already at a peak, right? We're at peak housing right now. Okay. Housing market's already at a peak. We have not priced in housing for people that are going to be unemployed and lose their jobs. How can people not go back to work? Whole industries, just, or whole like companies just, I mean, Hertz just filed for bankruptcy. People are furloughed everywhere. You know, think about everybody that owns their own restaurant or a bar or whatever. I'd say 75% of those things never come back. There's already a 90% failure rate. But what you're not factoring in is all the stupid people on Airbnb, all these super hosts that are carrying 10 plus mortgages. That nobody's going to be in Airbnb. Airbnb is fucked, you know? So, you know, maybe look at housing. You know, like if a stock drops like $1 or $2, I'm not going to panic. Not at all. So, any other brain busters? I also think that they run the SPY up to 300. But I said that today in TTG pre-market. I was like, I get this feeling that they're going to run the SPY up to 300, you know, for Apple and Amazon earnings. Facebook earnings sick, Microsoft sick, but I wouldn't buy those things up here. I think you end up getting a rug pull. Johnny B, haven't you been? It's the only thing that I've been consistently swinging in TTG. I haven't even tried swinging the other one. Well, I tried once. So every single trade that I've notified, every single swing trade that I've done in TTG is up like fucking insane amount of money. And I've only taken profit on one other, and I regret doing it, which was Power REIT from like 8. And then I was like, oh, I'll sell some of my position at 11.25. And now it's like almost $14. Constellation Brands, like 127 entry. Square, 40 entry. IIPR, 50 entry. Nuts. $300 SPY calls tomorrow. Honestly, that's what I'm looking at. Those Apple calls are going to do really well too. Those 287.50s. But man, guys, I fucked up this week. I had $12 Oxy calls. All right. That I got for $1.10. And then I got 2 days ago, I got 13.50 Oxy calls. And I don't have them anymore. Sucks. And I had Apple 280 calls yesterday, and I sold them. Fuck. So yeah, if I mean, most of you already are in TTG, so you guys should really come in there, especially on Tuesday. It's a lot of fun. It's gonna get there. Yeah, it's hard to follow trading, let alone all the swinging, brother. Yeah, but I don't trade like everybody else. I'm not fucking doing 50 million things. I mean, today all I was doing was scalping. So I think I think the only trade alert that I did was I bought some SRS pre-market, and then I sold it, and then I bought like 1785, and then sold it at 1820, and then my Apple 285, 287.50 calls for this week. Yeah, American Airlines earnings. Okay, so this is what I think is going to happen. Well, first off, all the airlines popped after hours. I have no fucking idea why it did that, but they did. So I think same way that we got into Southwest, I'm hoping American Airlines dips, all right, where it'll get a little shock. Maybe their guidance is a little bit worse, but then I'm probably going to take a really big position in American Airlines. I'll buy the stock and do some call options. And then whatever I make from the call options, I'll probably just roll into the stock anyway, or roll into another airline. We also get jobs numbers tomorrow, right? You know they're going to pump. The Fed's going to pump. They want to hit that 300 mark on the SPY because it's just a psychological barrier. Should I start rolling profits from options into Love or SRS? Love. SRS is you got time. You got time for SRS. You know, like I said, it's like a 4 to 6 month trade. Yeah, I'd buy the shit out of Love. Or you could do like Delta, JetBlue. I like American just because it's the cheapest one, honestly. But yeah, we had $29 Love calls yesterday. $29. Fuck. Thing's a fucking beast. So how many is that? So that's like we had 650 US Steel calls too. Some people held on to them. Selling my calls too. I gotta leave more profit. Just chilling out. I'm too greedy with my cash. It's actually hurting me. Look, I think Love's a great one. Much less risk in Love. It's the only time Love won't be a risk, buddy. But that's a really good one. I mean, I don't even know why the cruise lines are doing what they're doing. Yeah, RJ's right. American Airlines is highly leveraged, but that's why I like it, because I also think that the U.S. government will not let American Airlines fail. Or maybe it gets taken out and then like cleaned up. Maybe Warren Buffett comes in and does whatever they do. Saved is nice. I hate fucking Spirit Airlines. Fuck, I hate them. Yeah, look, Southwest Airlines, that's Love for all you other people. LUV is the ticker. Their headline for their quarterly was Southwest reports first loss in 9 years. It's fucking 36 quarters of just crushing it. And everybody loves Southwest. Not as much as I love Sunkist, though. I just hate oh man. Like if I have to fly Spirit, and it sucks because like when I go to Vegas, you've got two choices. You fly private or you fly JetBlue one way and then probably Spirit the way home. It's awful. And it's not worth it to fly private to Vegas. Right? BA does have bad news every day. But, you know, they got a lot of defense money. They're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's still a deal. And that's what I think people are missing. It's not that, like, the coronavirus has been priced in, but now they're like, now it's just there's so many fucking deals out there. It's like people are waiting to get sized up in this one so they could move to this sector. It's nuts. Fort Lauderdale, RJ. So anyway, I think we went over on time. I was trying to keep this down to 30 minutes. So, and we kind of deviated from anything. If there's no further questions. No further questions? Bueller. JR, you know how you get around that? You roll profit into American Airlines and Love. So when you have a big win, just buy it. Anything you buy on American Airlines right now is a double. It's that simple. You can mark that. You see Oxy's move after hours? Did you guys see that? I saw it. I'll tell you what it's at. 1750. Thank God I wasn't holding that. 1750. Man, it went just straight ham. MGM earnings, man, all the casino stocks are just like, what did Penn do? Penn National Gaming. Penn National Gaming up 17%. There isn't a fucking casino open. Tell me how that makes sense. Look at this chart. Why should it do that? Casinos are closed. Johnny, I'd wait till the end of this week. Puts are getting harder and harder. You know, like, don't try and fight the market. Just try and find things that are undervalued that, you know, the worst of the news is over, and then just buy them or just keep riding calls all the way up. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing. That's my strategy. So it makes no sense, but, you know, like, the textbook's out the window. You know, you can't expect these things to stay down forever, right? I mean, look, Boeing was $400 a year ago. You know, American Airlines was $30 in January. So don't fight the market. These things will come back. We've priced it in. Yeah, and I'll leave you with that. Cool. So smash the like. Oh, did I just say that? I sound like Mike. Hit the like button. I guess the thumbs up. Subscribe. Whatever you guys do. And I'll try and do these more. Try and gun to do these like at 8:30, 8:45 every night. And if you guys want me to do any particular topics, I could do that. Cool. Right. Yeah, you need to trade your account up. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and I hope you enjoyed this. Later.